Hi friends, this is Mainak Misra and welcome back to my channel. Today I will discuss with you Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu's debut feature film Amores Perros. Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu's debut feature film Amores Perros vividly shows the true and honest picture of Mexico City at the juncture of 20th and 21st centuries. Apparently, it looks like a violent film. However, cinema is a mirror of society. The basic objective of cinema is to portray the honest facets of society. There is no denying the fact that violence very much existed in Mexico City in 1990s and 2000s. So quite naturally, it became a very important part of Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu's debut feature film, Amores Perros. He deliberately did not provoke violence. Initially, after film's release, viewers all over the world were concerned about the dogfighting, even though the film clearly states that no dog was harmed during filming. Amores Perros features three separate stories woven together, connected by a horrible accident sequence and depiction of dogs. In the first story, a young man exploits his beloved dog in the underworld dogfighting business with the hope of saving enough money so that he can elope with his sister-in-law. In the second story, a rich magazine publisher leaves his family to live with his supermodel girlfriend. In the third story, an ex-communist guerrilla left his family long back when his daughter was in childhood. He desperately tries to reconcile with his daughter. Even though the characters in each story live in different sections of society, Inaritu weaves them together. As a city is a single entity, it functions as a single entity and it cannot be disintegrated. The English title of the film roughly translates to Love is a Bitch. However, the characters in Amores Perros desperately seek love. Amores Perros is about contradicting emotions like loyalty versus disloyalty, love versus betrayal, crime versus redemption, violence versus stability. Amores Perros is about the loss of humanity. In the first story, Octavio, the young man, loves his sister-in-law Susanna, and strongly despises his brother Ramiro's torture of her. One day, his dog Kofi kills Jarocho's dog, which takes part in dogfighting. Realizing Kofi's fighting potential, Octavio decides to make it take part in dogfighting with the hope of earning enough money so that he can elope with his sister-in-law Susanna. He earns enough money and pays Mauricio, the owner of the dogfighting venue, to beat up Ramiro. Being utterly scared, Ramiro flees with his wife Susanna and his infant son. And before fleeing, he steals Octavio's money. Octavio becomes heartbroken and struggles financially. In one one-to-one fight between Jerocho's dog and Kofi, Jerocho shoots Kofi while it is about to win. In an extreme anger, Octavio stabs Jerocho, and his gang chases Octavio and George. While escaping, Octavio's car severely crashes with Daniel's car, and Daniel is featured in the second story. In the second story, Daniel is a rich magazine publisher. He leaves his family, his two daughters, to live with his supermodel girlfriend Valeria. When their love is about to bloom, tragedy strikes hard. Octavio's car crashes with Daniel's car, resulting in Valeria's serious leg injury. And her dog Richie goes missing under the floorboard. While searching for the dog, Valeria falls off the wheelchair, resulting in arterial thrombosis on her leg and worsening the situation of her leg further. It develops severe gangrene, and because of that, the doctor decides to amputate her leg. She returns home on a wheelchair and looks through the window, only to find out that the ancient brand advertisement featuring her has been removed. She becomes heartbroken and sobs profusely. Daniel tries to rejuvenate his relationship with his family. In the third story, El Chivo is an ex-communist guerrilla. He left his family and his daughter Maru long back because of his communist ideology. He misses his next target as Octavio's car crashes with Daniel's car, and he exploits that situation and steals Octavio's money as well as dog Kofi. He brings Kofi to normal life, but when he is little away from his squalid hovel, Kofi kills other dogs whom he was taking care of. In an extreme anger, he is about to kill Kofi but changes his decision at the last moment. But this incident transforms him from a ruthless hitman to a more reasonable human being. He enters Maru's apartment with a duplicate key and starts narrating his history on the answering machine. But when he says that he loves Maru very much, the answering machine stops recording. He goes to the mechanic shop and sells client's car and then walks away with Kofi toward the horizon. This is the story. Amores Perros focuses on multiple important points. The first point is absence of father. In the first story, the father of Octavio and Ramiro is absent. In the second story, Daniel leaves his daughters to stay with his supermodel girlfriend, Valeria. In the third story, El Chivo left his daughter Maru long back during her childhood years. The absence of father aggravates the financial and societal condition of a family. And slowly those families disintegrate, much like the families portrayed in Amores Perros. There is no denying the fact that a father plays a major role for the well-being of a family, much like the mother. So the absence of father definitely impacts the family, the well-being of family. The second important point that the film raises is loss of humanity. Initially, after the film's release, viewers all over the world were concerned about the dogfighting scenes, even though the film clearly states that no dog was harmed during filming. But the ill-fated humans unfortunately did not garner much sympathy. Viewers rarely asked what happened to the actors during the filming of the violent scenes like car crashing, car chasing, dogfighting, robbery. There are multiple violent scenes in the film. Inarritu clearly shows that when a pet is bombarded with luxuries, many humans remain hungry day in and day out. There is nothing wrong in providing luxuries to a pet, but multiple times humans are much more unfortunate than animals. And Inaritu clearly shows that. Another important point that has been focused in the film is violence. Inaritu portrays a raw look of Mexico City in 1990s and 2000. And there was violence at that time. The lives of ordinary citizens were filled with kidnapping, crime, dogfighting, murder, all sort of violent activities, robbery. And cinema is a mirror of society. So quite naturally, those became a very important part of Inarritu's film. He did not shy away from portraying the reality of Mexico City. Same like dogfighting. Viewers were concerned about dogfighting scenes, but dogfighting existed at that time. Even though dogfighting is banned across Latin America, but in the underworld economy, it existed and it largely contributes to the underworld economy on which a large section of poor families are dependent on. So Inaritu put in an unflinching effort to portray the reality of Mexico City. So quite naturally, in addition to all the violent scenes, dogfighting also became a very important part of Amores Perros. Another important point that the film focuses on is the class division. The characters of these three stories live in different sections of society. Daniel belongs to an affluent class, Octavio and Ramiro belong to lower middle class, and El Chivo is poor and downtrodden. He doesn't even have proper home. He lives in his squalid hovel with a pack of dogs. Inaritu shows that without the opening accident sequence, the characters would not even meet for once. Many civilians reside in the same city, but their paths multiple times don't even intersect once, and that's the reality. The more prominent is the class division, the less is the probability of meeting with each other. The other point, which is also very important point that the film focuses on, is love versus betrayal. In the first story, Octavio loves Susana but betrays his brother and engages in a sexual relationship with his sister-in-law. Octavio loves Kofi but does not refrain from exploiting it in underworld dogfighting business. Susana also betrays Octavio. She flees with Ramiro and does not accept Octavio's offer to stay with him. In the second story, Daniel betrays his family, his daughters, his wife, and decides to live with his supermodel girlfriend Valeria. But when Valeria loses her physical charm after her leg gets amputated, Daniel tries to rejuvenate his relationship with his family, his wife, his daughters. In the third story, El Chivo betrays his family for his communist ideology. He left his daughter Maru long back. But in his twilight years, he desperately tries to reconcile with his daughter. So Amores Perros is about love versus betrayal. The film is about contradicting emotions like love versus betrayal, ideology versus family, crime versus redemption, hope versus despair, loyalty versus disloyalty. The film is about loss of humanity. Guillermo Arriaga's screenplay is deeply personal and it captures the raw, real look of Mexico City and its people. Multiple events of the film directly taken from his own life. He had a dog. He knew somebody like El Chivo in his childhood. Daniel's character is directly inspired by one of his friends. So multiple events of the film are directly taken from his own life. Even the opening accident sequence, he survived a horrible accident in 1985 that inspired the fast accident sequence. Because of his deeply personal screenplay, viewers all over the world were able to connect with Amores Perros because the stories were deeply rooted in Mexico City. And the local stories always have global connection. Regarding the actors, when Inarritu saw Gael Garcia Bernal for the first time, he selected him to play Octavio. His deep gaze, purple eyes, and simple yet mischievous look with wolf face attracted Inarritu's attention. Even in the film, he plays both a simple as well as a mischievous character. He loves his dog, but does not refrain from exploiting it in dogfighting business. He betrays his own brother and engages in a sexual relationship with his sister-in-law. Goya Toledo as Valeria looks like a real supermodel. She looks very beautiful throughout the film, and her acting touches hearts, especially when she returns home on a wheelchair and looks through the window only to find out that the ancient brand advertisement featuring her has been removed. Emilio Echevarria delivers an outstanding performance. As a hitman, he is ruthless, but at the same point of time, As a father, he is utterly sopped, and he desperately tries to reconcile with his daughter Maru. He prepared for his role for a very long time, and he developed a very strong connection with his pack of dogs. Because of that, the dogs followed him during the filming. So whenever he comes out, his dogs also come out and follow him. Rodrigo Prieto and Inarritu decided to go for documentary style handheld cinematography to create a more realistic, raw look of Mexico City. The film was shot over a period of 10 weeks in real locations of Mexico City. 9 cameras were placed to capture the opening accident sequence. Inarritu and Prieto went for an extra level of experimentation with the look of the film. They used bleach bypass process, which created the texture, more sharper texture, vibrant color, and higher contrast. So the look was very different. The result was very prominent. They experimented with camera movement and film stock. For the first and third stories, they used grain structured film stock with aggressive camera movement to create the violent and raw look of the scenes. But for the second story, they used more clean and clear film stock with slow camera movement to give it a more of a classical look. Prieto used wide angle lens with short focal length to create the claustrophobic effects for the first and third stories interior scenes. So whenever you will look at those scenes, as if there is a little discomfort, a little violence that is scattered everywhere. So you will feel that whenever you will see the interior scenes. Editing process was mammoth. It took more than 9 months, and the process included Inarritu himself. It was a mammoth exercise, and much of the dynamism and thrilling effects were created during the editing process. So these are about camera and editing. For the music, Gustavo Santaolalla initially rejected Inarritu's offer to compose the music of the film, but later on he accepted after seeing the opening sequence of the film, the accident sequence. He used Bolivian Ronroco guitar extensively for the soundtracks, but in addition to his own soundtracks, he used soundtracks of other bands like Titan, The Hollies, Control Machete, Nacha Pop, Cuba Ta Cafe, Cafe Ta Cuba, and Titan. And he used the soundtracks of solo artists like Celia Cruz and Julieta Venegas. So these are combinations that he used to compose the soundtracks. Dog trainer Lady Casanova did an outstanding job filming the dogfighting scenes without harming a single dog was not an easy job. And in addition to the dogfighting scenes, there are multiple other scenes that involve dogs, and all the scenes were filmed without any issue. Production designer Brigitte Broch also did an outstanding job. The She created the raw, real look of Mexico City on the set. The interior scenes look outstandingly believable. Even though initially Amores Perros got little negative reviews or criticism because of the violence and dogfighting scenes, but over time it has received widespread critical acclaim. It, it was nominated for Best Foreign Language Film at the 73rd Academy Awards and 58th Golden Globe Awards, and it won the best film not in the English language at the 55th BAFTA Awards. And in addition to that, a lot of other awards and criticism, very positive criticism. Uh, it has been very well accepted over time. And remember, this was the debut feature film of Inarritu, so this was not an easy job. The film was a very big scale film. I hope you have already seen this film. If you have not, please see this film. And the request goes again that please subscribe to my channel. Please press the bell icon so that you do not miss regular updates. And thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you and bye.